StrayAllDay.com.
Now tuned in to the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day, to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative, which is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into one bundle, one package, one mindset, one method, one philosophy, one book, one show, one daily masterclass that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic, externalities are not excuses. Now, before I go into more intro into why we're talking this today, let me tell you that I have a text line where I want you to send me a text and tell me the best insight, the best idea. If you disagree with something, you have a follow-up question, or you just want to congratulate me on an amazing episode, send me a text and tell me. My number is 305-384-6894. Again, 305-384-6894. Now, the topic, externalities, not excuses. Let's get a definition of this word externality so we're on the same page as what I mean here when I say that word. It means, defined as, a side effect or consequence of an activity that affects other parties without this being reflected in the cost of the goods or services involved, such as the pollination of surrounding crops by bees kept for honey. In other words, that's the definition. It's a very wordy definition, but let me put it in more simple terms. An externality are things that affect you, but were not directed at you. All right, that is something that we can call an externality. In other words, if it rains outside, it's rained a couple times here in Miami today, that's an externality. It affects me because it might change my plans as to what I'm gonna do outside or if I'm gonna do anything outside or not, but it wasn't directed at me, all right? It didn't rain just to ruin my day or to try to slow me down in any particular way. That's an externality. Or we can look at an externality, another definition of it, is anything outside of your direct control, meaning you never had control of it in the first place, which means you can't use it as an excuse. And this is what I'm talking about here today. Don't use it as an excuse because you never had control of it in the first place. So it could have did that at any time. Whatever it did or didn't do, it could have done or not did that any time. So you shouldn't have been dependent on it in the first place. That's an externality. And I'm telling you here today that your externalities are not excuses. Since most of the things that happen in your life are not under your control, most of the things that happen in your life should not be used as an excuse by you. We clear? Now let's get into our point so I can make it even more clear. Point number one, topic again, externalities are not excuses. So the work on your game definition of an externality is anything that you do not directly control, as I just explained. Things that are not done to you, things that are not done about you, but they may affect you. As I just explained, a rainy day is an externality. If you're driving and you get into a traffic jam, that's an externality. If there's a road blocked off that you usually ride on, now you got to take a long cut around it and it adds 10 minutes to your commute. That is an externality. If you're playing on a sports team and the team gets a new coach who doesn't like you and subsequently you lose playing time, so you don't play as much as you were under the old coach, that is an externality. If you work at a job and a new boss comes in and the boss demotes you because you just don't match what that boss needs at that time, that is an externality. You don't control any of these things. I talk about this all the time. I even say this in many of my speeches. 99% of what happens in your life are externalities. 99% of your life consists of externalities, things that you do not control. All you have control of is that last 1%. And mental toughness is really about how much of that 1% are you going to take advantage of? Or how excited are you about that 1%? Or what do you want to do with that 1% that you have control over? Because 99% you don't control. And if you really think about it, you would understand this. And I might be being generous by even giving you 1%, giving us 1%. So the question is, with that 1% that you do have control of, how much are you going to control it? How much are you going to use it? And if you really sit and think about how little control you have over all the things that happen in your life, one of two things can happen. Number one, you can feel depressed and just say, well, what the hell is the point of any of it since I don't control 99%? I have no idea if this person is going to come through, if I'm going to sell this product, if I'm going to get this job, if this shot is going to go in the basket, if the weather's going to be good tomorrow, if this girl or guy is going to like me. You have no idea how any of these things are going to work out. If my favorite politician is going to win their next election, you have no idea what's going to happen if you really think about it. And you could go into a really deep mental funk really thinking about how little you control anything. Or by the same token, you could say, all right, I don't control any of these things. You know what? That actually could create freedom for you, because now you can stop worrying about those things because you don't control them anyway. How about that? Now you can free your mind up. Now you don't have to occupy your mind giving too much time and space, which means any time and space to things which you don't control. I mean, that is a serenity prayer, right? Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change and the courage to change the things I can and the wisdom to know the difference. So if you believe in that saying, even if you don't claim any particular religion, if you believe in that saying, then this realization that you don't control 99% of your life should actually create freedom for you. Because now 99% of the things that happen in your life, you don't need to think about it at all. Whatever happens, happens, because you can't do shit about it anyway. So how about you just focus on the 1% you do have control over? Now you can be really good at that 1% because you don't have anything else to be thinking about anyway. Just a different perspective that I'm offering. Take it or leave it. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is externalities are not excuses. Let me give you a fact. Every life has externalities that must be worked against. So even though I just told you in the introduction and in point number 1 that 99% of life are externalities that you don't control, and you don't really need to be putting too much of your time or energy into what's going to happen with them or what you could possibly do about them if and when they happen. Understand that just because an externality doesn't mean it won't affect you. All right, there are plenty of externalities that affect you. Like I said, a rainy day is an externality. When you get in your car and you drive on the road, how much control do you have over all the other drivers that you're driving around and past and through and behind while you're on the road? And last time I checked, the answer is probably 0. Next time you go out in public, how much control do you have over all the other people out there in public? Probably none. So these externalities do affect you. It doesn't mean just because you don't control the other drivers doesn't mean one of them might not be driving too well, might be on their phone texting, or they might be on the podcast app trying to find the latest episode of Work on Your Game podcast. It might rear end you. Or you might go out and there's some drunk person at the game and they're spilling beer on you, and now you have to address this individual. Or you might have a picnic planned outside and it all of a sudden starts raining and there wasn't any rain in the forecast. So externalities can affect you. Again, a new boss, a new coworker comes into your job and you got to deal with this person for whatever reason. Externalities definitely affect us. But understand something, that the externalities that each of us deal with is not always parallel. In other words, your externalities will not be the same as my externalities. Even though the same externality could occur, it might affect us in different ways. You might be happy that it's raining outside because you have some crops in your backyard that haven't been growing because it's been a drought. And I might be mad that it's raining outside because I had a basketball game at the park and now the game got canceled because it rained. So externalities can affect us in different ways. It doesn't mean that other people don't have externalities, and understand that you don't want other people's externalities. So when you're looking at another person's life, and this happens to a lot of us, especially now that we have social media on the heels of what we talked about yesterday. Now that we have social media, we can see other people's lives. I mean, that's one of the main purposes of social media in a tongue-in-cheek type of way, is for us to tell the rest of the world our business. That's what social media is about. Tell everybody your business. And if you're not telling the world certain aspects of your business, then that aspect must not be happening. All right. You don't show off your cars, you must not have a car. All right. You don't show them your husband or your wife or your boyfriend, your girlfriend, you must not have a husband, wife, boyfriend, or girlfriend. All right? You don't show them what you're doing, and you must not be doing anything. So again, in a tongue-in-cheek type of way. And some of you know exactly what I'm talking about here. But the thing is, with social media, we can see what everybody else is doing. And usually, because most of us use social media as a highlight reel to show people the best version of ourselves, even when we're telling them about some way that we messed up or some downtime that we had in our life, we always tell it in such a way to make us look good in the end, right? So when we see this in other people, again, we see 100% of our own lives, but only the highlights of other people's lives. Even when they're trying to tell us a low light, they make it into a highlight. We sometimes think to ourselves, well, look, whatever externalities he has or she has, I want those. All right, whatever externalities this person has, they got 100 times more money than me. I want their problems. All right, this person just has 100 times more followers than me, or they get more likes and engagement than me. Whatever problems they have, I want those externalities in my life instead of my own externalities. I'm telling you here, in point number 2, you do not want other people's externalities. Because if everybody in a room, you got a whole bunch of people together in a room, and let's say everybody in that room has a whatever you consider to be a good life, they all got a better life than you. All right, they all making more money than you, got a nicer car than you, a prettier spouse than you, they got more followers than you. Everything that you want in your life, they got it 10 times bigger than you got it. Okay, and let's say you're in a room full of those people, and all of you took all of your problems and you laid them down in a pile in the middle of the floor, you would quickly run and pick your own problems back up again. All right, you would not pick up anybody else's problems. You don't want other people's externalities. More importantly than what other people's externalities are, other people's problems and other people's situations, problems, good things, whatever, is not your business. I told you in episode number 1579, never look at the food on another person's plate. What another person is eating does not go through your digestive system. It ain't your business what other people have going on. One of my main focus hacks and productivity hacks, since I get asked about productivity often, since I have this daily show, is I don't pay attention to what other people are doing. I don't really give a damn about what anybody else is doing unless it is affecting me in some direct way. Otherwise, I really don't care what anybody else got going on. And because I don't give any of my time, focus, or attention to what other people are doing, I can give more of it to what I'm doing. And then I can give more of it out to the people who are paying attention to what I'm sharing. Whether better or worse, other people's situations are not your responsibility. But the food that you need to be paying attention to is the food that you're going to eat, the food that's on your plate. And if there's no food on your plate, you need to focus on getting it. And if there is food on your plate, focus on eating it. But everybody has externalities. Just in case you think other people don't, because you think their life just looks perfect from the outside looking in. Again, remember, you're looking at the highlight reel. You're not looking at the full footage. And they'll never show you the full footage. You'll never know the real full footage of any other person's life unless maybe you're sleeping with them. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is externalities are not excuses. Despite the externalities that can and will affect your life, and will cross your path, and will at times block your path, and will at times speed you up on your path, despite these, it is still your responsibility to succeed and do what you need to do. Success is your responsibility in life. You are responsible for becoming successful. Just by default of being alive, you're responsible for your own success. You're responsible for making the most of your talent and opportunities. You're responsible for making the most of the time that you've been allotted here on this planet, however much it is. You're responsible for doing something with the chances that you've been given and the chances that you're willing to take, regardless of the externalities around you. If you think one of the externalities holding you back is, again, and this is what I referenced in yesterday's masterclass, when the New York Times writer is just talking about, they made it about creators, period, that were just being given a shaft by the social media apps. Then they followed up and they doubled down and said, no, it's black creators who are being given a shaft. Even if that's true, even if you believe every word of that article, you're still responsible for becoming successful. If you're a creator listening to me now, after you listen to the previous episode, you're still responsible for becoming a success in life. Whether you're going to do it as a creator, whether you're going to leave the creator industry and become an engineer, whether you're going to build buildings, you're going to become a maintenance person, whatever, you are responsible for creating success, regardless of the externalities placed in front of you. As long as you are alive, you are not a victim. As long as you are alive, you have the power to do something about your situation. Even if the only something you can do is changing the way that you look at and think about your situation. It is still your responsibility to succeed. Because when you die, on your tombstone, you see the tombstones don't have that much space on them. All right, the last time I was in a cemetery, there's a name, the date, the year you were born, and the year you died. And maybe if your family wants to spend a little bit of extra money, they don't have to because you're dead, you won't know about it. They can spend a little extra money if they want to, and they can get maybe a couple sentences about your life. That's it. I've never seen a tombstone or a gravesite that said, all right, this person would have been successful, but all these externalities were getting in the way. I've never seen that before. Maybe you'll be the first. Hopefully not. Now, I have been to some funerals, and they do hand out a little pamphlet, and the pamphlet will have like a little bit more of the person's life. I remember I went to my grandfather passed away, and this was like 20, maybe 30 years ago. I don't remember. But there was a pamphlet that it was like 3 or 4 or 5 paragraphs just talking about his life. Maybe you'll get that. All right, they give you 4 or 5 paragraphs, but even in those, I never seen any excuses. I never seen anything that said, "Oh, this person was going to be successful in 2023, but these externalities blocked them, so they just lived the next 30 years, died, and that's the story." I never seen that before. Again, you might be the first. You could be the innovator who brings something new to the game. Externalities are not a bug in the system of life. They are a feature. Shall I repeat what I just said? An externality is not a bug in the system. It doesn't mean something's wrong when you have an externality affecting you in a negative way. That's a feature, meaning it's supposed to be like that. All right, you're supposed to have externalities affect you. You're supposed to have things happen that you didn't know were going to happen. They're not something that should stop you when there's an externality. Okay? An obstacle placed in front of you to challenge you and test your ingenuity and mental toughness. That's what an externality is. It's some obstacle placed in front of you, next to you, around you, on top of you, under you. It's challenging you to find out, all right, how creative can you be in figuring this out? How mentally tough are you in dealing with this challenging situation that has been put in front of you by life? Name a single person. Name a single person. Send me a text and tell me who this person is, whose success story featured no roadblocks, no failures, no challenges. Name one. Name the 5 most successful people you know. And name one of them who has not had a single externality, meaning something they did not predict, something they didn't know was coming, something they did not control, did not have any of those ever affect them in their lives. Did any one of those 5 successful people ever have that? Name the 5 most successful people you ever heard of, even if you never met them before. Oprah, LeBron James, Obama, whoever. Steph Curry. Name one who never had an externality affecting them. There are none. Everyone has externalities. Therefore, and since they became successful anyway, you need to become successful anyway. They became successful despite their externalities. And this is, again, one of the things that I've talked about when we talk about people being victims, is that they make light of the fact that this thing has happened to them, or this thing is blocking them, or whatever the situation is that they believe is slowing them down. Listen, I don't think that they're lying, that the thing may be slowing them down or in their way. Is not stopping them though. And then when I see people who have become successful, they are already publicly noted for their success, yet when they get a chance to speak to an audience, what they want to talk to them about is how the audience should feel like victims because of this thing and that thing and these things that are not working in their favor. And I'm like, mofo, you became successful. Why don't you just tell people how to become successful anyway? And again, if people do say it, but they soften it so much that you don't even get the message. And again, that's where people like me come in. But we need more people than just me. So again, if you can name someone who has a success story, they don't have to be famous, just you know them and you can bring me their story. Send me a link to their about page or a video where they talk about their life, whoever. Name one person who has a success story that features 0 roadblocks, 0 failures, and 0 challenges. Name one person. If there's anyone listening to this and you have not faced a single roadblock, failure, or challenge yet in your life, send me a text. I want to know you. I'll bring you on the show, whoever you are. All right, 305-384-6894. There are none. There's nobody. So nobody better not text me with that. And you are not the exception. So when you face an externality, deal with it and keep moving. Let's recap today's class, which is externalities are not excuses. Definition of an externality. It's a dictionary definition. A side effect or consequence of an activity that affects other parties without this being reflected in the cost of the goods or services involved, such as the pollination of surrounding crops by bees kept for honey. Let me give a better definition as we get into our points. Number 1, what is an externality? The work on your game definition. Anything that you do not directly control. Things that are not done to you, they're not done about you, but they may affect you, such as a rainy day, traffic jam, a new boss, or a new coach who demotes you from your position. 99% of your life are externalities. You have control over only 1%. Point number 2, here's a fact. Every single person's life has externalities that must be dealt with. And these externalities are not always parallel. In other words, I may have a complete different set of externalities from you. By the same token, we may deal with the same externality, but it means different things to us. So the new coach might like you and you get more playing time, and the new coach might hate me and I get less playing time. So the externalities are not always parallel. It doesn't mean that other people don't have them, and understand you don't want them either. You don't want other people's problems. If you saw other people's problems, you would gladly be happy. You would quickly be happy that you had your own problems. You do not want other people's situations. And more importantly, other people's business ain't your business. What's on another person's plate is not for you to eat. Point number 3, despite the externalities that can and will affect your path in life, it is still your responsibility to succeed and do what you need to do. Externalities are not a bug in the system of your life. They are a feature, meaning they're not something that should stop you, but an obstacle placed in front of you to challenge you and test your ingenuity and mental toughness. You cannot name a single human being who has created success in any area of life without facing a roadblock, a failure, or a challenge. And you are no exception. So deal with the externalities and keep moving. Send me a text. Tell me what you're going to do different or think different based on what you heard today. My number is 305-384-6894. Work on your game. Dre, all